Hi, I'm your real estate guru, and welcome to our first members only event where we are taking a deeper dive into the market. It's so great to have you with us here. I'd love it if you put in the chat room your questions and start to ask, what is it you want to know on a deeper dive? If we can't answer it here live, I will certainly be getting back to you and monitoring the chat room over time. So please know this is your focused area for getting answers about real estate. Any kind of real estate coaching, whether it's building your individual business or looking at the market generally. So anyway, I'm just wildly excited to get going here. And this is going to be our weekly event of doing a summary of where are we at. Here it is, January 5th. And markets are already turned back on, of course, coming out of the holidays. Not that they were turned off. Mentioned this before, but the markets weren't turned off during the holiday. They are just different. And you can sell a home so well during the holiday period of time. Anyway, so I want to get to one of the questions that's already been submitted to me and gets asked fairly regularly right now in this new year. And that is, what's happening to home prices in 22? So it's January 5th. We're looking at the new market and what's happening to home prices in 22. Well, as a general overview, let's start off with a general overview nationally. Home prices are going up. That does not shock anybody. That's not something we have to say in the members only. It doesn't shock any of you for me to say home prices are going to go up nationally. Yeah. That was to be expected for sure. Let's drill this down more. What's happening with home prices in your market? So in the Northwest, we can plan for home prices to be going up around the 6 to 8%. We've seen this economically. We've seen this from predictions. The 6 to 8% out there is where we're at generally in the Northwest. Now, that is a solid increase in prices. However, knowing your neighborhood, and there's way too many neighborhoods. I can't go and talk about every neighborhood in the Northwest or even in the Portland metro area. That would be ridiculous. But like in my neighborhood area out in the Corbin area, we're looking at another year of double-digit increases out here. How sustainable is that? Now, I don't think it's very sustainable. I think getting a reasonable return in our markets is much, much, much more sustainable. But what is driving, as we take a look at a deeper look, what's driving this? Well, what's driving it is a home shortage problem across the nation, but certainly in the Northwest. What's driving it is a massive home shortage problem. And as the inner cities get packed and there's just nothing left, there's no land left, there's no housing left, there's no apartments left, there just isn't anything left for people to migrate to. And by the way, you can often in this market buy a home for less than what you are renting for. That is amazing. You start taking a look at that kind of data as a deep dive. But the problem is where do you find the homes for the people? Because we are in such a housing shortage. And we will deal with that. So right now, what's happening out here to drive double-digit increases? As the inner cities get packed and they are full, people start to expand out. This is a natural movement of the population. Not only do people move out because they simply want more space, they certainly want more space. There are people who want to live in the densified areas. I know that. That absolutely makes sense. There are some people that it makes sense to live in a densified area of population, that more things are walkable. That's wonderful. But what about for the population that actually want to be out in urban sprawl? Because wow, have I hit a hot topic? The whole urban sprawl thing. It's probably a good thing I'm doing this in members only, because the urban sprawl thing, there's a lot of people who want to live in urban sprawl. I would love to hear from you of what you think about living conditions in the urban sprawl areas. Urban sprawl, by the way, just let's get it defined. This is where urban America has decided from the metropolitan areas to sprawl, to move outward, where they have more space, but they're dragging resources with them. They're dragging water systems with them, septic systems with them, of course, power systems with them, and other emergency, fire hydrant systems, but fire trucks, policing. They're dragging all of these services with them. Now, I'm out here in the Corbett, Oregon area, so certainly part of a type of urban sprawl area. We're a little beyond the classic urban sprawl area, but that's what's driving people out, is they want some space. The problem with that is the resources on the community that it puts on to drag the services with them. Because people want to go far enough, generally, if they have space, but not so far if they don't have services, policing, fire, usually a water system and septic system, because these are easier to hook up to often than creating your own well or putting in a septic. I mean, that just takes more. It takes more resources, more of everything to make that happen. So if you can drag the services further with you, that is the argument on urban sprawl and what's happening with that. So I'd like to hear from you. What do you think about it? What should we be doing, if anything, about it? I will tell you, I think people that want space are very happy with going out and sprawling out. That's why we see it. That's why we actually see urban sprawl. My prediction, now that we're in the members only, my prediction is that we will see enhanced urban sprawl now that we have crossed the barrier of, we have the coronavirus that has pushed us into separation, and we're going to see enhanced urban sprawl, even way more than what we ever thought was possible, because people are looking for space and they realize they can work from home and they can have that space to their self. And this is going to enhance, or enhance is probably the wrong word for it. It is going to be a cause and effect on this sprawl condition, where people are going to move out further and hope to drag resources with them, because they can work from home. And the pandemic has enabled that more than anything we've ever seen. The pandemic has enabled us to work from home. More resources like Zoom, Google Live products, Facebook Live products, YouTube Live, like I'm doing right now. These kind of products have enabled this process. And people will find themselves happy to go out and get themselves space, and they will feel that they are entitled to the space because of the pandemic conditions, and that their employer now is saying, we've really crossed the barrier. You can work from home long term. If this would have went on for only a few months, we probably would have went back to going back to the offices. But that's not what's happened. It's been a couple of years now, and it's even going further. There is no unwinding the clock on this. We can't go backwards as humans. We can't unwind what's already happened. This is not a back to the future, back to the past situation. It's not going to happen. Now that people have gotten used to doing Zoom type products where you can see the person, you can interact with them, you're live. Internet is faster than ever before. The report I seen was that TV is dying because YouTube and other products like this are bringing so many resources that the old-fashioned TV is simply dying out. And if you look at what you are watching and interacting with, it's probably true. You're simply doing something different. And the change was already happening before the pandemic. It was already happening. But now the resources have gotten so much better in the last 2 years. The Zoom products of the world, whether it's the Amazon Chime or the Microsoft Teams or the Google Hangouts or whatever product you're using, has gotten so much better. You can share documents right in front of people. This is changing the market. I'm talking about this in members only because this is the big change to the market, is understanding the deep dive of what's going to happen. And the urban sprawl is where the population is going because they have been pushed there and now they are feeling engaged with it, even though there's a movement to densifying our populations. I know that. There's a movement to densifying populations, but when we look at families are looking for space. And when you can work from home and you can do school from home and you need fewer travel resources on a daily basis of that nature, then you can move out further, drag resources with you on out, and make it happen. You're looking for the bleeding edge of growth. It's the new communities outside of the metro areas. And that's where you're going to see your double-digit increases this in 22. Those areas you're going to see huge increases in price. Difficult for new homeowners, difficult for young buyers to jump into those markets. But you're going to see people that have homes in a densified area move out of it. And that's going to cause some nice movement to the market. They're going to move out of that area and realize, I am working on the internet. This can happen with a home office. I want more space. I can have a built-in home office to make this happen long term. And my employer is supporting me in making this happen long term. That's a huge change to our market. You just think about that. The change that results in what you're doing. How will that change? I'd love to hear from you in the chat. How will these changes ultimately result in changing real estate as we know it today? What we do know is change is inevitable. Change will happen. We're not going to go back to what it was 2 years ago. We're not going to go back to what it was 5 years ago. It's not happening. I'm huge on getting together with people live, face to face. But even for me, I love these technology pieces because I am virtually with somebody. And as technology gets better, we are enhancing our business. We're enhancing our relationships with our clients even better. Yes, I still want to get together with people face to face. But I can do this so much more often. There'll never be an exchange when getting together with someone face to face. At the same point, we've created something that's completely different. Who would think that this would be so good? Getting together with somebody virtually, having a seamless conversation, particularly if you have a headset on, because then you can really have that conversation without interrupting each other. And when I teach at the university in the School of Business, I push the students, if at all possible, have a headset because it really has that interaction so much more seamless, so much better. It brings you closer together because you don't have to stop talking for the other one to say something. The channel can handle both simultaneously with the headset because it's not having to cut the other people off. And at that point, our channel of communication has become even better. Not better than face-to-face, but better than what it was in this venue. And better than what we ever thought it could be, and different than what it would be face-to-face. At this point, we're able to exchange documents. You can walk somebody through the signing of a document live on video. Live video. We all have people say, I don't know how to do this. Well, you can walk them through live. That's incredible. That's a change. That is on the bleeding edge change of our business. Walking somebody through live without being face-to-face with them. Face-to-face, the old-fashioned, you put the papers down on the desk. It's actually turned to a situation now. We would all, or most of us, rather have a digital copy because we know these things would have to be scanned in anyway. So if we start with the digital copy, it's already digital. We can send it to the lender. We can send it to the title company, for the escrow company, for closing. Everybody can have a copy across the board once it's fully executed. And how seamless is that? All right, moving back over to the markets. So we know that you have to know your particular market and what's going on inside that market to advise for your client the very best possible. What's happening in your particular neighborhood? I gave you an example of mine. What's happening in your particular neighborhood, you're going to have to do some research and actually understand what's happening in that particular neighborhood to advise your client. That's how you're going to showcase your knowledge to the client, that you know their neighborhood. If you can show your client that you know their neighborhood specifically, that is huge power. Huge power in being able to show that you know what's going on. You know the themed events going on. You can have a calendar of events going on electronically. You can video yourself, and not even live. You can just video yourself and send that over to them and explain the current events of that neighborhood and what's going on and how you're involved with those events. Because 22 is not only going to be these things we've already talked about urban sprawl and where people are understanding where populations are going. That's incredibly important. But it's also going to be about your further connection as an individual to the population that you're dealing with, to the person. Individual connection. This is what this next generation is looking for. They're looking for connection. They just don't know how to get it done. Your ability to connect to that person is enhanced through these tools. Using live video, getting together with people, of course, live, incredibly important. But that is still, with our coronavirus, and I don't see any stop of this, has problems. Now, you can say the coronavirus is a political device or actual. I don't care which direction you go with it. The fact is, it is a problem that we have to navigate and know how to deal with in growing our business. I don't care if it's political. I don't care if it's actual. It is something we have to deal with, whether you like putting on a mask or not. It is the reality of where we're at. Some people have left our industry because they don't want to have to deal with this. Well, sorry. Change is inevitable. There's always going to be change. The tide will change again, and it will change in a direction maybe you like it better this next time. Pardon me while I'm sipping the coffee, and I hope you're having a cup of coffee while we're in members only event. Please hit the like button. I would love to hear from you. Put in the chat button in the chat room. Where do you think the market is headed this year in your neighborhoods that you're representing? Do you think they are going up double digit in the neighborhoods that you're in? Do you think they're flat? There are some areas going down. No doubt about it. There are a few areas that are going down. Very few, and there's reasons for those areas. Often they are development areas that have extreme needs. But if you're in one of those areas, I'd like to hear from you. What do you think is happening, and what is causing that interaction of economic up or down, whether it's development need, or it's an enhanced area, or it's an urban sprawl area, or there's career choices going on. There's universities moving in and out, industries moving in and out. What is happening in those areas causing this? We're in the midst of a change that is so big that a lot of us don't even like to think a whole lot about it. But because we're able to work remotely, this is going to change, and the change is going to continue for years because it doesn't all happen in one moment. The change will continue to impact real estate and where people are living for the next decade. We're going to be well into the 2030s before we see any kind of settlement out of what's happening with this. Because people don't change that fast. The change starts hitting them, and they start having recognition of the pressure of the change, and then they act upon it. But that takes time for families. It takes time for employers, and it takes time often for career change and reestablishment of skill sets. It just doesn't happen overnight. Just like the coronavirus and all of us coming up to speed with inoculations and the variety of things that are needed as a nation didn't happen overnight. It takes time for the population to accept what is happening. What's going on with your particular career, and how are we going to build your career this year with all of this going on? If you're not having at least one listing a month in this environment, why? What's going on? Let's build your career. We have coaching products. We have our Kickstarter program. No doubt about that. You can jump in for those. But what's going on? Or is this more of a side gig for you? We know real estate can be a great side hustle. It's wonderful for that. That may not be what you wanted. If you want to be full-time, we can make you full-time in the industry. There is no doubt. There's no question about it. You can be full-time in real estate. There's lots of careers to choose from. You just have to make sure this is the career of your choice. But if you've taken time to get licensed and you've joined our members only, obviously you're listening now, you probably have made the choice. You wanted to be full-time. Well, let's put you in that knowledge position to be full-time. We absolutely can do this. The markets are on the move. It's January 5th. We're headed to spring. Now, we know spring is a huge kickoff for listings. Lots of people wait for listings. Let me give you a little secret piece of advice here. Get in front of your listings. Get in front of people that are thinking about selling and explain to them how there is less competition now in January and February. Let me say it again. There is less competition now in January and coming February than there will be in spring, in March and April. The buyers are still out there, but if they want to put themselves in position of less competition and still commanding a powerful price for their home, now is the time to get in front of them. If you're in an area like I'm in, getting double-digit increases, you're still going to get that. But no, whatever neighborhood you're in, you're still going to command a terrific price now. And that's the knowledge you need to be telling to the listings currently that are wanting to wait to spring. Why are they waiting? Are they waiting for more competition that will impact their ability to sell their home for as much as possible? That does not make any sense. And this is your knowledge of the local market and how you can put it out to the sellers easily. You just have to get in front and explain it. Make yourself relevant in the market. The more relevant you can be, the more powerful your career is going to be. All right, this is the inaugural of the members only event. Thank you for being here. Hit the like button. I will take time to answer everyone who puts a chat in, and look forward to hearing from you soon. See you next week in the members only event. Take care, guys.